Greetings, salutations, and hello, I am Larry, and this is the Ethical Atheist, and today I am listing my top 10 least favorite Bible verses. Number 10, Leviticus 18:22. Thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind. It is abomination. Being openly bisexual myself, my objection to this verse is pretty obvious. Number 9, 1 Kings chapter 11, verses 11 and 12. Wherefore the Lord said unto Solomon, Forasmuch as this is done of thee, and thou hast not kept my covenants and my statutes, which I have commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee, and will give it to thy servant. Notwithstanding in thy days, I will not do it for David thy father's sake, but I will rend it out of the hand of thy son. In this verse, God declares that he wishes to punish Solomon, but because he is David's heir, he decides not to punish him, but to punish Solomon's sons instead. In any case whatsoever, it is abhorrent to punish the innocent for the crimes of the guilty. That's just abhorrent. Number 8, 1 Timothy chapter 2, verses 11 and 12. Let the woman learn in silence with all subjection, but I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over a man, but to be in silence. It ought to go without saying that sexism is bad. Number 7, 1 Timothy chapter 6, verses 1 and 2. Let as many servants as are under the yoke count their masters worthy of all honor, that in the name of God and his doctrine not be blasphemed. And they that have believing masters, let them not despise them, because they are brethren, but rather do them service, because they are faithful and beloved, partakers of the benefit. These things teach and exhort. There are lots of Bible verses that give justifications and conditions for slavery, but this one stands out because it encourages slaves to work even harder for Christian masters, because they're also God's favorite people, I guess. But no matter who is enslaving who, slavery is an immoral, dehumanizing act that has no place in any reasonable society. Number 6, Judges chapter 11, verses 30 to 31, 34 to 35, and verse 39. And Jephthah vowed a vow unto the Lord, and said, If thou shalt without fail deliver the children of Ammon into mine hands, then it shall be, that whatsoever cometh forth of the doors of my house to meet me, when I return in peace from the children of Ammon, shall surely be the Lord's, and I will offer it up for a burnt offering. And Jephthah came to Mizpeh unto his house, and behold, his daughter came out to meet him with timbrels and with dances, and she was his only child. Beside her he had neither son nor daughter. And it came to pass when he saw her that he rent his clothes, and said, Alas, my daughter, thou hast brought me very low, and thou art one of them that trouble me, for I have opened my mouth unto the Lord, and I cannot go back. And it came to pass at the end of 2 months that she returned unto her father, who did with her according to his vow which he had vowed, and she knew no man. In this passage, a man vows to sacrifice the next thing he sees after he returns home victorious from battle. And in a cruel twist of fate, the first thing that he sees when he gets home is his daughter. Now, unlike in the Abraham and Isaac story, where God at the last moment snatches his hand back and is like, no, don't sacrifice your child, he actually offers his daughter as a burnt sacrifice. And God does nothing to stop it. Number 5, 1 Samuel 15:3. Now go and smite Amalek, and utterly destroy all that they have, and spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass. In these verses, God encourages the slaughter of non-believers, even down to children that are still breastfeeding. I don't care who you are, if you call for the murder of infants that are young enough to still be breastfeeding, even infants that aren't still young enough to be breastfeeding, even children, even adults. That's awful. Number 4, Leviticus chapter 25, verses 44 to 46. Both thy bondmen and thy bondsmaids, which thou shalt have, shall be of the heathen that are round about you. Of them shall ye buy bondmen and bondsmaids. Moreover, the children of the strangers that do sojourn among you, of them shall ye buy, and of their families that are with you, which they begat in your land, and they shall be your possession. And ye shall take them as an inheritance for your children after you, to inherit them for a possession. They shall be your bondmen forever. But over your brethren, the children of Israel, ye shall not rule over one another with rigor. This is another passage discussing the conditions of slavery. It explicitly commands the Israelites to take slaves from non-Hebrew tribes. So in addition to previously stated issues with slavery, this also encourages racism and puts people of other ethnicities down to a subhuman level as being more acceptable to enslave. Number 3, 2 Samuel chapter 12, verses 11 through 14. Thus saith the Lord, Behold, I will raise up evil against thee out of thine own house, and I will take thy wives before thine eyes, and give them unto thy neighbor, and he shall lie with thy wives in the sight of this sun. For thou didst it secretly, but I will do this thing before all Israel and before the sun. And David said unto Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. And Nathan said unto David, The Lord also hath put away thy sin, thou shalt not die. Howbeit, because by this deed thou hast given great occasion to the enemies of the Lord to blaspheme, this child also that is born unto thee shall surely die. In this passage, God wants to punish David for his disobedience, specifically for committing adultery. And to disgrace David, he commands that all of his wives be raped in public by another man under the sun of the day. And in addition to that, that David's newborn child that he had with the adulterous woman be put to death. This is another case of innocent people being harshly punished for the crimes of someone else, which, as I stated before, is never okay. Number 2, 1 Kings chapter 20, verses 35 and 36. And a certain man of the sons of the prophets said unto his neighbor in the word of the Lord, Smite me, I pray thee. And the man refused to smite him. Then he said unto him, Because thou hast not obeyed the word of the Lord, behold, as soon as thou art departed from me, a lion will slay thee. And as soon as he was departed from him, a lion found him, and slew him. So let me get this straight. A man refused to strike a prophet of God, holding to the Hebrew law of not committing violence against fellow Hebrews, and he gets sentenced to death by lion. Refuses to hit someone, gets eaten by a lion. Number 1, Leviticus chapter 21, verses 18 to 20. For whatsoever man he be that hath a blemish, he shall not approach, a blind man, or a lame, or he that hath a flat nose, or anything superfluous, or a man that is broken-footed, or broken-handed, or crooked back, or a dwarf, or that hath a blemish in his eye, or be scurvy, or hath his stones broken. In the Bible, it repeatedly states that God controls all things, even to the formation of the child in the womb. But in this passage, it says that any person with any manner of deformity, whether they were born with it or they were maimed later in life, is not allowed in the tabernacle or holy places. So if God is an all-powerful, all-loving God, why would he create people with disabilities from birth, or allow them to become maimed in life? And even after allowing for those things to happen, why would he reject them from the holy places? Why would he single out this group of people that he specifically created, supposedly, to be rejected from the temple? They've committed no other sins, they haven't committed any crimes, even according to the Bible, but just by the fact that they are disabled or deformed, they are rejected by God. So that was my top 10 least favorite verses from the Bible. I tried to pick some of the ones that aren't on every other list similar to this one. I tried to pick some that were a little bit more obscure, but that are still very upsetting in their basic construction and ideology. And these aren't in any particular order. I didn't order them from least to most bad, because how do you say, well, this denial of human rights is worse than this denial of human rights? And that's what most of these are based around. Most of these have something to do with dehumanization of certain groups of people, whether it's putting women down as less than men, putting people of other ethnicities down as less than Israelites, putting disabled people down as being worse than abled people. These are all examples of basic human rights being denied. And that's why they all ended up on this list for me. But this is a very thick manuscript full of all kinds of interesting and appalling verses. You know, it's not all bad stuff. There's lots of good stuff in there, but it doesn't have a good track record with human rights. And that's why I felt I wanted to point out these specific 10 verses. So, thank you very much for watching, and as always, may Darwin be with you.